How should founders divide the equity in their business at the beginning? This is a very difficult question that I think a lot of founding teams struggle with. This is also a decision where many startup founding teams get it wrong and make serious mistakes that will create potential problems for the company in the future and are also very difficult to fix once these mistakes have been made. So this is a great situation to make the right decision or make a good decision early, as it's much easier to get this right from the beginning than it is to fix it later after the founding team made a mistake. What's the most common mistake? Founding teams divide the equity just by taking the number of team members and dividing 100 by that number, assuming there's no investors. So we have 100% equity with two founders, let's just give 50% to each. Or we have 100% equity with four founders, so we give each 25%. Now, why would that be a mistake? It seems like that is the nicest way to do it, since often founding teams are friends. So let's do the nice and friendly way. Just divide by team members and everybody gets their share. The reason that this is a terrible mistake is it might seem nice, but actually it's not fair or equitable, or it's highly unlikely to be fair or equitable. Think about it, we're trying to divide equity, and the key operative term or operative goal here should be an equitable distribution of equity, not what seems nicest at the beginning of the company. Why do I say it's not equitable? The amount of equity that each founder has in the company should be reflective of the founder's value to and contribution to the company. So in order for each founder to have the exact same amount of equity, each founder would have to have the exact same value to and make the exact same contribution to the company, which is highly unlikely. We would expect that in any team, some members are going to contribute more, be more valuable, and some are going to be less valuable and contribute less. This is not casting aspersion on anyone in the team, it's just the reality. For example, one founder should be the CEO. We would expect that the CEO, by virtue of being CEO, should be more valuable to the company and contributing more to the company, and therefore should have a larger equity stake than non-CEO. I would make that same assumption about each team member. Now, it could be the case that the founding team does a lot of thinking and very detailed analysis of this, and after looking at the relative value and contribution of each team member, comes to the calculated conclusion that each one is worth exactly the same amount, then in that case, okay. Then distribute the equity according to that. But if the equity is just distributed based on the number of people in the team, there's almost no chance it's going to come out in an equitable distribution. What factors might the founders want to consider in figuring out relative value and contribution? So I would recommend looking at two things. One is, what has each founder contributed up until this point when we're distributing the equity, and what will each founder contribute from this point? Then take those two together to determine the potential equity stake for each founder. I would much more heavily weight what each founder will be contributing in the future versus what they have contributed up until now. Why is that? This concept is going to come up a couple of times when looking at founder equity issues. But especially at the early stage, the company has a long way to go from here to success. Therefore, the equity distribution in the company should reflect the contribution that's going to be made by each founder from now until the company reaches an exit, rather than the contribution that's been made up until now, because the company is still very early in its development and the value that's going to be created needs to go to the people who are going to be driving that value. So key point to take away here, don't just blindly divide the equity by number of people in the team. Do very careful thought and frank and the forthright discussion between team members about who's contributed what up until now, who is going to be contributing what from now over the next 5 to 10 years to the company, and then divide the equity according to that. Guarantee, even though this might not seem as friendly at the beginning, this is going to make everybody much happier with the equity distribution in the long run.